My name is Singh, and I want to speak specifically to all those people who may be considering taking Kundalini Yoga, or maybe already taking Kundalini Yoga as taught by Yogi Bhajan. I was with Yogi Bhajan for about 30 years, from the late 70s until he passed away in 2004. And I came to realize a few years ago that Yogi Bhajan was really a fraud, I'm sad to say. I want to show people the truth about his activities and about the yoga that he taught, so that you are not duped by his false yoga. Now, this was an article that appeared in the Eugene Register Guard in 2010. And as it says here in this article, former followers say he, Yogi Bhajan, abused his position for power, money, and sex. This is true. Yogi Bhajan, I'm sad to say, was corrupt. Let's look at some of the reasons why I say this. I just read this academic study by Professor Philip Gillespie called From Maharaj Mon Tantra. This article is a must-read for anybody who's considering taking yoga classes that are taught by Yogi Bhajan or by his students. Basically, the report says that Yogi Bhajan made up a lot of the yoga asanas that he taught. And if he didn't make them up, he stole them from other yoga systems. So what this shows is that Yogi Bhajan tried to ride on the backs of others to build up his own credibility and falsely claim that he was bringing some ancient secrets from India in order to gain power, money, and credibility for himself. So, why does this matter? If the yoga Yogi Bhajan taught was working for people, then why does it matter whether he stole it or whether he made it up? Well, first of all, I want to point out how Yogi Bhajan had this front, this false image of himself. He wore big fur coats from dead animals, large jewelry. It was a completely fake front. Then here he is with his right-hand man, this Hari Jivan. And he used the labors of his students to prop up this luxurious lifestyle that he lived. It's really a real fraud, I think. People worked long hours in vegetarian restaurants for him. We gave lots of donations to him, lots of expensive gifts. And Yogi Bhajan used that for his own grandizement and luxury. So getting back to this question of, well, so what? A lot of people say his yoga worked. So what if he made a lot of money? So what if he lied about it? The fact is, really look closely if this Kundalini Yoga really works. Yogi Bhajan promised us, his first students, that you'd be liberated after doing the Kundalini Yoga after 40 days. Well, where is the evidence of that? There are many people who have done Kundalini Yoga for 40 years. And what are they? Just fat students now, living off the fat of all the other people that come there and give thousands of dollars for these yoga classes. There's no evidence that any of these students of Yogi Bhajan are liberated or that live a very spiritual life. In fact, many have been incarcerated and been charged with crimes. I worked personally with that Hari Jivan that I showed you a picture of there, the right-hand man of Yogi Bhajan, who's charged by the FTC in the field of schemes. There's another Hari Jivan, had the same name, that spent 18 months in the federal prison. So this was the result, direct result of this charged up, false and fraudulent Kundalini Yoga that Yogi Bhajan taught. It's very dangerous when you mix systems of yoga or anything else like this. They're very powerful. And when you mix them like that, it's very dangerous. You talk to any yoga experts, and they'll tell you that what Yogi Bhajan did by combining these things and then charging people up with this breath of fire, as he called it, is very dangerous. And I talk about a lot of this in my book, Confessions of an American Sikh, which I invite you all to read. I'm not making anything on this book. It's available on Amazon. I only have it there at the lowest price Amazon will charge, 99 cents. But if you still feel like you just don't want to even pay the 99 cents, write me, and I'll be sure to send you a free copy. It's no problem. So I've written several articles on my website, this gurmukyoga.com, about addressing this question of, does Kundalini Yoga really work, as many of the students say? And my contention is that Kundalini Yoga, as taught by Yogi Bhajan, was almost like an illicit drug. It got you high, got you really charged up, and he would pile on more and more exercises, more and more like gong meditations and all these things, only really to get you into this induced state of almost like hypnosis, more complicit, more willing to be subjected to this cult induction. That's my belief. And if you look at his students closely, you'll see that they're not really quite normal. Some of these big-time yoga teachers that are part of the Yogi Bhajan group, they rely on this kind of like magical fantasy thinking that Yogi Bhajan propagated, this thing about this new age, Aquarian age. Gurmukh Kaur, who's a famous yoga teacher in Los Angeles, she has made millions of dollars off of promoting this fantasy of this Aquarian age, getting energy from Jupiter, all these type of things. So these were part of this fraud that Yogi Bhajan propagated in order to make money and to induce people to get into his cult, basically. And you'll see if you watch or if you read the comments to some of my posts from some of the Yogi Bhajan cult followers, you'll see that they will not answer any of the questions that I pose to them with factual statements. And you'll see that all they're doing is they react emotionally. They're trying to cover for Yogi Bhajan's frauds. Now, the other thing I want to point out is that Yogi Bhajan falsely said that Kundalini Yoga and his forms of yogas, meditations, and mantras were part of the Sikh tradition. Much of what Yogi Bhajan taught is what we Sikhs call kachi bani, which is diluted bani. Now, in the Sikh tradition, we use Gurbani Kirtan, which is part of our Sikh scriptures and was taught by the Sikh Gurus. But Yogi Bhajan diluted that. He polluted it and adulterated that bani and substituted a lot of his own mantras and words into those banis. Like, for example, he had this meditation, it was Humi Hum Tumi Tum. It's not part of the Sikh Gurbani at all. So the Akaltaka, which is a supreme authority of the Sikhs, has declared this Kachi Bani to be not conducive to spiritual growth, and in fact poisonous, they say. And that we should only, as Sikhs, we should only use proper Gurbani and avoid this Kachi Bani. So there was a reason why the Sikh Gurus didn't teach these things like Yogi Bhajan is doing, because it corrupts. And you can see the evidence again in the actions and the lives of these Yogi Bhajan followers. Let's move on here and see some other pictures, some that I've collected over the years. Now again, this is Yogi Bhajan's right-hand man, this Hari Jivan. And I spent years with him. He was eventually charged by the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, in what they call the field of schemes. And these businesses that Hari Jivan had, he had us all doing this boiler room toner sales and sale of jewelry, tried to dupe old people with way overpriced jewels that we were telling them were for investment, which is completely false. And this propped up Yogi Bhajan's lifestyle. You can see him here with all his gold and diamonds and everything. They were up there in Beverly Hills buying this stuff almost every day. I was on security. So I know for a fact that Yogi Bhajan participated in all this. He would come to the phone room sometimes and say, oh, don't worry about what you say on the phone. It's just, there's no karma on the phone, is what his favorite saying was. So, you know, we'd go to La Scala every day, spend thousands of dollars on lunch. Now, this was an article that one of the 3HO websites published about by Hari Jivan, which promotes these gems. And of course, you get these tantric gems, and they have the spiritual energy, they say, like Hari Jivan, Yogi Bhajan would say. And then they try to sell you these gems. Thousands of dollars they charge. And so it's just it's a scam, is what it is, in order to get you to buy this magical energy gems, as they call them, and to get into this. And here again, you know, Hari Jivan says here again, he was at the right-hand side of Yogi Bhajan nearly every day for 30 years, learning about, among other things, the veiled mystical characteristics of gemstones. So they really have a real narrative about all of these things that you need to buy from them, okay? This is another example. They sell spiritual names here at the 3HO website. $108 is a suggested donation for getting a spiritual name. Here they are again, the Hari Jivan and Yogi Bhajan at Jerry's Jewelry. Now this is that other Hari Jivan that I spent a lot of time with. And we did I'm ashamed to admit it, but I did a lot of scams with him. I talk about this in the book too. Yogi Bhajan was fully aware of these things, and he had us do these things, like I said, so we could make money and prop up his luxurious lifestyle, and he promote his false KY, his tantric yoga. So Hari Jivan now is trying to teach yoga, and he said the last time I talked to him, which was about 6 years ago, he said, I'm in the yoga business now. I don't want to hear anything about what you're trying to tell about Yogi Bhajan, the truth about Yogi Bhajan. I'm in the yoga business. So he just transferred his scheming from the boiler room to the yoga business. You know, just it's unbelievable. Anyway, so here is Yogi Bhajan in Acapulco, and I was there when this picture was taken, living a luxurious lifestyle. We went. You know, I went with Yogi Bhajan to Rome, to Sweden, to Acapulco several times. He was always traveling and living a luxurious lifestyle. Okay, this is the other thing I want to point out that's very important. One of Yogi Bhajan's, or a couple of Yogi Bhajan's lead secretaries sued him for, among other things, rape and many, it says here, assault, abortion, sexual transmitted disease, torture, imprisonment, and more. And this Premka sued Yogi Bhajan. Now, what happened in that whole situation was very interesting. I recently followed up and talked to the attorney who was the lead attorney for Premka. And he said that Yogi Bhajan would never appear at a deposition. For all of you who don't know what a deposition, that's when you come and give your testimony. Yogi Bhajan refused. So I was on security back in the 80s. When this was all happening. I didn't know anything about it. So I realized after I talked to this Peter, who was the lead attorney for Premka a few years ago, The Yogi Bhajan, he was completely capable of going to this deposition, but he would always get an excuse from his Khalsa doctors telling him that he was okay or that he couldn't attend these because he had a heart condition. Well, I'll tell you this, is that we went to La Scala every day and ate all kinds of rich food and everything and lived a high lifestyle during that time period when Premka was suing Yogi Bhajan. He could have definitely gone to those depositions. So that was, when I talked to that Peter, I realized Yogi Bhajan was definitely trying to hide something because he didn't want to appear like Peter said, with the lights on. And he didn't want to tell about what he really did there in that situation. So they settled. They gave him a lot of things. Now these are some drawings that Yogi Bhajan gave me, and they're just completely phallic drawings. And he wanted me to sell these and promote these. So this again shows his leaning towards this, his infatuation with sex and power. Here's another drawing here. You can see where he's written power there by this drawing. And it's clearly phallic in nature. The big penis is what it is. So Yogi Bhajan really was into power and sex and abusing his students. That's what I've concluded from this. You can see how his students prostrate themselves before his death place there in Espanola, New Mexico. He died right over here in Dawn. I was there when he died. And they prostrate themselves before him. This was a picture that he told his students to meditate on and look into his eyes. You can see here, this is again another picture of that death place where they worship Yogi Bhajan. They always have a picture of Yogi Bhajan over, that's Garuka Singh from Sikhnet, prostrating themselves. They've surrendered their respect and their spiritual identity to this, yogi who's a fraud, basically. They sell his robes. They try to, this was a gimmick they did where they, like the Catholics, where they were selling his garments there. They keep pictures of him inside the Sikh Gurdwara, where no pictures should be placed. Now this is an interesting event that the yoga people did on 11/11/11. They billed this as being a mystical event where you would get liberated and have all this spiritual energy. Well, this was in 2011. And I invite you to ask anybody who went to this, who paid thousands of dollars to go to this event, what they got out of it. I got letters from people saying that it was poor accommodations, it was just awful. And all it was that he did a few exercises. It was just, unbelievable. They just took people's money and they scammed people into thinking that this was going to be some, big energy event, that, because of these mystical numbers or something. It's completely just a scam, basically. So this is the result of Yogi Bhajan's teachings, and this is another little fire. Where will you be on 11/11/11? They tried to build that 11/11 thing as a mystical thing. This is this Gurmukh car, who's like a poster yogi for these Rishikesh people. They make thousands of dollars, and that's Krishna car and Gurmukh car. Now, the other thing I want to point out is how these Yogi Bhajan people use, again, I hinted on this before, how they use the Sikh religion to make money. This is the Sikhs' holiest shrine in Amritsar, the Golden Temple there. And they use it on their tea boxes to make money, and it's just shameful how they commercialize spiritual things. They use the pictures of the Sikh gurus in order to make money and live this luxurious lifestyle. Always asking for donations on this Sikhnet website, which is part of the Yogi Bhajan organization. Donate, donate, donate. They're always asking for donations. And all these organizations, billion-dollar corporations, are all in this Yogi Bhajan thing. Now, this was a settlement agreement where they were fighting about all these billions of dollars between themselves. It was just, awful. And now they agreed, we can't criticize Yogi Bhajan, and we have to teach the Sikh religion as taught by